Okay guys, gonna make a quick little tutorial on how to use Panda's Blender tools for everyone who's having questions. Here's a tutorial on how I use it, how it's implemented in my workflow, and what hopefully you can use it for. So first of all, we're gonna go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and then we're gonna hit Install from Disk. You're gonna open up AR Pandas tools. These other two scripts are unrelated. These are just on my computer. I'm gonna hit AR Pandas tools. You're gonna hit Install. Mine is disabled for some reason. Make sure that box is checked. Then if you hit Add on your keyboard, you should see down here AR Pandas tools. So go ahead and open that up. First thing we're going to do in our workflow is I'm going to hit A, and I'm going to delete everything in my scene. And then I'm going to delete the base collection because we're not going to need that. And then I'm going to import my FBX. So here I have a test building. Keep in mind this is a huge mesh. So this is the tool that we've been using to develop our map called Fallen Oregon for the Casual Ops Central community. That should be coming out here soon, but I mostly built this to just help with getting buildings and assets into the game, but it can definitely be used with custom made stuff as well. So for example, we purchased some assets from Fab, which is a Unreal Engine based like asset marketplace, which is great, but it's really high detailed, really high vertice count, you know, too many faces, everything kind of looks not great to be brought into Infusion. So we use this tool to help us out with that. What I'm going to do first of all is I've brought in my FBX, obviously, as you can see. But they all have parents and childs, and they're all grouped together, and that's not going to be good for us later. So we're going to start off by cleaning things up a little bit. So first of all, I'm going to select everything. We're going to move it into the center-ish. Generally you want it to be pretty much at 0, 0, 0. You can hit 1, 3, 7, and 9 to get kind of different views on your keypad if you have one. Let's call that good for now. This is just a test. Then we're going to go ahead and select everything. We're going to do Control A. We're going to apply all transforms. We're going to get some errors there, right? Because there's multi-user assets in this scene. So we're going to go ahead and hit this button. Going to go through, it's going to apply all of our transforms for us in a way that's not grumpy about it. You can see it here. If you open up your console, you can open this up by going to window and then view console. Also, if you get any errors or any kind of bugs that you guys are happening, feel free to send me what you have in your console. Maybe I can update the script to work better. Then again, I did just build this for me and a team of 3, maybe 4 other people. So the more people give me feedback, the better. This can take a little bit depending on how many objects you have, but you definitely want to apply all of your transforms prior to doing anything else with this add-on. All right, now that that is done, we're going to go ahead and go back to our Blender scene. All of our transforms are applied. That step might take a little bit. I haven't quite optimized how it handles that, but I will work on that in the future. Next up, we're going to go ahead and clean our scene up because you can see we have a bunch of weird parents and lights, and we don't want any of that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and clean our scene. Hit step 4. So sometimes this might happen. This means that your transforms do not get applied correctly. So we're going to go ahead and just Control Z. We're going to grab everything again and just apply all transforms again just to make sure. Okay, great. Now we should be able to clean it up. Great. Don't ask me why you have to apply, hit this apply, and then apply it again. Sometimes Blender is just weird. That's the only way I found to get it to work though, without having to manually go through and delete every object one by one. So now we have our mesh, and we're gonna go ahead and import our textures. So in order to import our textures, we're gonna go ahead and select our textures folder. For me, it is just in the same folder as the mesh. Don't mind all the other files and whatnot. It's only gonna pull image files. So we're gonna hit accept. That's our textures folder. We're gonna hit import. Great, imported 686 textures. Now for a mesh like this, you're gonna notice that there's copies of things, right? There's like a bajillion, what is this, ammo boxes. And if I try and process all of these meshes individually, it's gonna be a pain. It's gonna be a real pain for us. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit another button I have down in utilities called merge by name. It's gonna go through and merge everything based on its name. It's merging all the batteries, all the binoculars. We're just gonna give this a little bit to run. Great. So we went from 4,164 objects to 90 objects. So now if we go ahead and grab our ammo box, for example, you can see that all the boxes are combined. All the ammo piles are combined. You can't see through these counters because the material's not loaded in yet. But what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go through, look through all our objects, make sure we don't have anything weird in here. All we have is meshes because we won't need anything else right now. Next up, since I have so much going on here, we can't bring this all in as one FBX into Infusion because it's not gonna like that. It has a face and a vertice limit. So what I like to do is break my building up into chunks and then import those chunks separately and then merge them into one prefab. So what I'm going to do is hit chunk meshes. Great. Now you can see we have numerically all of our different chunks. So this one is chunk 26. If you want to see your vertice count and your face count, go ahead and go to this arrow right here and hit, not face orientation. Go ahead and hit statistics. This will bring up, you know, where this chunk is 128,000 triangles out of the 7 million that are in the scene. Chunk 7, 252,000. What it does is it chunks meshes based on a goal of 200,000 faces per chunk. Sometimes it's not going to fit in that. For example, chunk 1, this one has 1 million, and that is because we have these towels here, right? And the towels were its own mesh prior to running the chunk button, and that mesh was already over 200,000, so it couldn't fit. That's something they're just gonna have to go through and clean up. You're gonna have to go through, probably add a decimate modifier and set that to like 0.01 or something, right? And that's gonna bring it down to 11,000 faces about. Maybe that's a little too aggressive. You could bring it up to like 0.2, 0.3 until you're happy with it. For now, I'm just gonna leave it as is. I'm gonna hit apply. You're gonna want to go through and do that for all of your individual chunks. Try and get them at or under about 200,000. The lower you can get, the better for performance. This is just how we're having to do it. We're not super performance optimized. We're going to go back and redo a bunch of our meshes to handle that. Just make sure you're being responsible with your vertice and face count, unlike me. What we're going to do next is, now we have all our chunks, we're going to sort them to their own collections, because how this script works is it exports per collection. So chunk 1 will be its collection. It'll export chunk 1 as its own FBX, and then chunk 2 is its own FBX, and you'll bring those all into Infusion when you're ready. So we're going to go up here to sort to collections. We've imported our textures. The fixed textures path button is for a little bug that happens sometimes when you import your textures. So if we go over here to our shader editor and we go down to our materials and we look at, for instance, pepper spray, right? We're on pepper spray right here, plugged into the color node. It should have it looks like it's looking for environment sampler texture 035. So we're going to go ahead and look at it and see how only some of these have images, but the one down here for 035 wasn't loading. Sometimes you have to scroll up to see all of them and then scroll back down. But if we go to 035, we're going to make sure that the one it was on is properly loaded, and click off, click back on it again. It looks like it's loaded to this one. Great. We don't have to run that fixed texture path button. Everything's fine. We can skip rename depending on what you want to do. If you want to use my Infusion Fixer Sections plugin, you can have it automatically assign your textures to all your materials inside of Infusion, since sometimes it doesn't import them correctly and it won't automatically assign your color textures to your BCR slots. So you can put this to the folder that has all of your FBX meshes and it'll automatically assign it. But now we have all of our chunks. We're going to go back up. We're going to sort to collections, so they're not exported all together. They're all going to be exported separately per collection. And then we're going to go ahead and hit generate LODs here. And this is going to take the first object and every chunk, and it's going to generate an LOD. Because this might take a little bit because it's processing 2 to 3 LODs per collection. So just give it some time, just hang out. It shouldn't take as long as applying all those transforms. Okay, great. Now we have our LODs. We have LOD 0, 1, and 2. If you want that to go all the way up to 3 or 4, you can just increase the LOD count here. Also, if you're having a hard time generating the chunks, or ton of objects in your scene, you can hit this use progressive chunking. This is going to change the method that it does it. It's going to go ahead and make smaller chunks, and then it's going to multiply that by 2, and it's going to multiply that by 2, and it's going to progress over time, gradually build up to the 200,000 face target or whatever your target is set to. It's set to this by default. Alrighty. So now that we have our LODs, we can go ahead and generate our colliders. Just going to go ahead and hit the generate colliders button. It's going to generate its colliders based off the LOD 0 in each collection. Here we can see in the console as well its progress. It's generating chunk 1 LOD 0 into collider for chunk 001, chunk 2 LOD 0, chunk 3, etc. It's going to keep going and doing that. We're going to give it a second. All right, great. Now we got generated 26 detailed colliders. Now the reason it says detailed colliders is because you have several types, right? We have box, convex, sphere, capsule, cylinder, and triangle mesh. You can select any of these. If you have any issues with these, let me know. Some of them don't generate perfect all the time. Face percentage is like the decimation percentage. Right now it's taking 35% of the original mesh. This is a detailed collider setup. Ideally you do colliders by hand. But if you just need a quick test, you know, the walk around, do some stuff, look at everything, it'll generate these colliders for you and put them in each folder. Okay, so at this point, you can export your collections if you want. You can get this into Infusion and it'll work, right? It'll look like a building. It won't have any fancy lighting, any occluders, anything like that. If you wanted to do that, you go to export. You would set a folder. I like to make a new folder called exports just to keep everything track because there's a bunch of stuff in here already. And we're going to go ahead and hit accept. And then you would hit export collections. Export individual will export every individual mesh as its own FBX. So we're going to go ahead and hit export collections. Now, if I go into that folder, you can see it as it runs. It's going to go ahead and pop out. General rule of thumb, if you get anything that's like above 30,000 kilobytes too, you can preemptively tell that Infusion's probably not going to want to import that. It generally does not like large FBXs because then it has memory allocation errors and all that. So try and keep it under about 30,000 kilobytes per FBX is what I've noticed. Like I said, some of these had, you know, 1 million faces in them. So you'd have to go back through and adjust probably these 4 at minimum to get into the game. Let's just go ahead and pretend that you did that. These aren't ridiculously huge. So we're going to go out of that. We're going to go out of that. You don't want to close out of this ever, by the way. This is actually what's running Blender. If you need to toggle it, just go to window and hit toggle system console. After that, what I like to do is, okay, so if we go into our textures folder, you can go ahead and see that, you know, we have all our textures, blah, blah, blah. Or say you have a bunch of normal maps you don't want because you don't need the detail or you don't want to deal with it, or this is just first path. You can go ahead and go down to texture processing. There's a toggle here if you want to delete normal maps. My team decided not to worry about it for now because we're going to go back and do that later. But you can set your texture folder and then you can go to your folder here, right? Because this is our texture folder. I know you have to assign it twice. I'll work on that in the future, but right now it's easier to just do it as 2 separate assignments. I'm going to hit delete normal maps and the target size 1024 by 1024. You can hit process textures. What this is going to do is it's going to look through all of your textures and it's going to make sure that all of them are 1024 by 1024. And if they're not, or if they're a normal map, because that box is checked, it'll just go through and delete it or it'll rename it. So if I scroll down here, you can see it's going through and it's skipping or it's already satisfies. Oh, yep. See, look, I found some that were not 1024 by 1024 that I didn't even realize were there. Because these 4096 textures, if you're trying to import those would take forever and they'd be very, those would be very resource intensive. So, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and leave it there for the first tutorial on, you know, basic generation for your chunk generation, your collider generation, and your LODs. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. I will be making a updated tutorial on the rest of the features that are in this add-on soon. These ones are just a little bit more complicated, so I want to spend a little bit more time making that tutorial. Hope this helps. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message, and I appreciate everyone's support. Thanks.